users, I feel that they need a lot more UX wise.
No, what I mean is with the actual when you did the actual cognitive behavioral therapy and you came out of it and you learned these new skills, did you feel compelled to then be spreading that information to people?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. Like I learned it the hard way, and I believe that if the original plan was like if I can get this into like an app that anyone can download and we can spread it more than to only to the few people that actually recognize that they need it. So yeah, I love the concept of it. I learned a lot from having that experience.
Yeah, because I from my personal experience when and again part of the well a big part of the reason for this, I don't think I explained to you what the Quest for Wisdom started, but it started as a blog that I started writing. I used to have a problem with alcohol and drugs and all this, and then I stopped doing that, and I started writing about the process of stopping being an addict, basically, and that was what it started at. But when I posted the first article, I got loads of people messaging me because everybody knew me as that guy who was always wasted, and then I felt compelled, even though I was majorly uncomfortable and writing the whole thing, even though it was cathartic writing it all, it was also majorly uncomfortable because I was writing as personal as I possibly could be. But then now I spend a huge amount of my energy, most of my energy, trying to learn and be a better person all the time, better, 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 better. And I feel compelled to tell people because I feel like it's such good news and good information. And the concepts are not that complicated, really. And sometimes you just have these little penny drops and you're like, oh, wait a minute. My thoughts aren't real necessarily, or I don't have to catastrophize everything. And these little penny drop moments that come, and when you have those moments, they're kind of amazing. And I feel like it has to be spread. And I think that that's quite common in what I see from people who have experienced tough things. They then feel compelled to tell other people. And it seems that you did that in quite a big way, in the way you know how, which is creating some complicated app that most people can't do. Um, so yeah, I think that's it's pretty cool. Um,
So wait, you used CBT to fix alcoholism, or how did it work?
no, I went to I just decided to stop drinking, and then I went to like an addiction specialist, and then I was on a few different medications for a few years, and then I was like I came off the alcohol, and then I was in and out of taking drugs for like 2 or 3 years, and then over COVID I started taking loads of drugs, totally lost the plot, um, and then I had to stop all of that, came off the medication, and then I spent like 18 months or yeah about 18 months with the worst depression. Like I I can't imagine it being worse because I'd been zapping my serotonin so much with all the drugs. When I stopped, it was literally like there was no shred of happiness whatsoever in my entire existence. Like when I looked at the past, there was everything was so negative and dark and evil. All my relationships, I was looking at everybody like so paranoid, suspicious, dark, evil. All my thoughts horrible, couldn't laugh, everything for like a year and a half. And then that stopped. Well, it just got a little bit better and better, and then here I am now. And then, but I had to take a break from doing the Quest for Wisdom stuff for a couple of years because I was getting people messaging me all the time, but I was in a terrible place. And all these people are messaging me like, oh, Connor, I need help. People I don't know asking me, should they be taking this medication? Should they be seeing a therapist? Like, one,
The answer is yes. Go
yes,
see a licensed therapist in that case.
but kind of the fight that like the worst part of it ended when I was actually I joined this charity that a friend from my friend from home started, which is called Mad Millennials, and it's basically peer to peer uh support. So a lot of the mentors that do it are actual therapists or have done some sort of training in that. But the idea is that it's people of a similar age and talking to each other and just an opportunity for free for people to just talk and it hasn't kicked off yet because their business business model, it's a charity, but their business model wasn't quite right. But I joined up with that, and we did a mental health first aid course. And as I was doing the mental health first aid course, from day one to day two, this person I'd met in Brazil messaged me like, "Oh, I'm really depressed, blah blah blah. I've broken up with my boyfriend," and it was a guy, and he was like, "I've broken up with my boyfriend, and I'm so depressed." And I didn't know what to say to him, and then I responded just like, "Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that." And then I think I said to him, "Have you tried meditation or something like that?" Which is just, I realized afterwards, not the right thing. But he was calling me from Brazil, and it was like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning or something, not calling, texting. And then the next day, I had a funny feeling, and I messaged, um, and he killed himself. And I was like, I'm not qualified. I never felt qualified to be talking to these people, but then I just took a break away from it.
Wait,
Um,
why is it that you feel responsible or well? Okay, I have a lot of questions here. Uh, like you started a blog and people started emailing you on this blog, or how did this
yeah,
get started?
email or Instagram or whatever.
Did you feel responsible to help those people?
At the time, massively, yeah. I couldn't set like now I would be able to separate myself. And at the beginning, I felt responsible, but I felt capable. But then as I got more ill, I suppose, I felt less capable. And when all of my thoughts and my existence was just dark and evil, I felt evil. And I didn't want to be interacting with vulnerable people whatsoever. Like if someone reached out to me now and were asking for help, I could sit there and I could listen and talk to them for hours or whatever, and hopefully give them what they needed. But at the time, it, had to take a break from that.
And to me, it seems a bit of a dangerous game to get involved in because if people come to me and they ask me, my life is bad, horrible stuff is good, especially like a person I don't know. Imagine if I would get like an email like one of the ones you get, I would almost immediately reply and say like, I am not a licensed professional. Please go talk to someone, either someone you know in your family. Please try to get a licensed doctor. Try to talk with your house doctor. Talk with a licensed therapist of that. I think that has been pretty much my default answer because there's two things there. There's one, you are not a licensed doctor, so you cannot give the advice that one of them could give. Secondly, you are putting yourself in a very vulnerable spot because people will push more of their problems on you, and you didn't have had an advanced training on how to deal with that. So I feel like you put yourself in a very dangerous position of um, trying to help them. I would personally never do that. One, because I'm an asshole, but two, it is that. I mean, like, it's the same reason that let's say you wouldn't let a therapist, let's say, do my job and work on a website with 5 million people using it and that has an outage and ask them to fix it. You wouldn't do that. The same thing is like shouldn't be a therapist and help people in that way. Um, I it's a bit, I don't understand why they reach out to you and not to the doctors. I hope that there are doctors available from the place they speak. Honestly,
Well, just to clarify, I did always, because I started writing a few articles about this medication I was taking, and it was quite a new medication. So then loads of Google searches were coming towards me.
mm,
Um, and then I was getting people like, "Do you think I should take this?" And I'd be like, I cannot tell you that whatsoever. I don't know you. Blah blah blah. But then there are some people who would just strike up a conversation on Instagram or Facebook, and it would never be me telling them advice. It would I tried to just listen, because my thought process was, if they're reaching out to me, it's because they can't or won't reach out to anyone else. Like, not everyone has family they can reach out to. Not everyone wants to reach out to their family. Not everyone knows you can reach out to a doctor. Some people have had terrible experience with doctors. Some people have to pay for doctors.
right.
But that's why I stopped doing those things. Um, but now, if I started again, because I'm part of this charity, the Mad Millennials, the idea was that I could write the articles and then push people towards this Mad Millennials, where there are people in there who are therapists, um, and they could go into, group sessions for free
Right, and
remotely.
I've been in, I guess, one of those. I mean, back in the day when I was edgy teenager, I used to be in one of those chat groups or forums where you would like talk about your problems with like, school problems or whatever, and you would have forums, and I posted like personal things in there, and there were also people helping me there. Um, but I feel like things that you're mentioning now, especially if this comes to like substance abuse and very heavy topics like depression and suicide and things like that. Um, One, like, this is not your responsibility of dealing with them. Yes, it's your website, and yes, they're reaching out to you, but I mean, it's not like because someone comes to me on the street tomorrow and says like I'm gonna kill myself that it's my responsibility to help them or that I can, however, fix them. Of course, I'm gonna say like don't, but I mean, I feel like you're putting a lot of pressure on yourself trying to help those people. And I think the best thing you can do is one, keep yourself healthy at all points and put your own health before that of others. I think everyone should always do that. Make sure you're healthy yourself. And the second thing is like I said before, there are specialists who are trained to dealing with these kind of things because these are very difficult topics. You can, yes, listen to them, but um, that's it. If you listen to them and they ask you, what should I do, whatever, I don't know. Like if someone comes to me and they say like, "Hey, I want to kill myself," and I had a divorce yesterday, and my children don't want to see me anymore, and I have I'm drinking too much. Well, they're probably never going to say it like that, but um, whatever. Like, I wouldn't know what to answer. Um, I don't know. I feel like I don't know. I wouldn't like to be in your place. That's basically what I want to say.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. But it was funny when you were mentioning about creating that app to link the therapist, because one of my idea for the website, I had lots of different. I had t- I had a bit of a burnout because I was like you were doing. I was using work to kind of avoid my problems. I was taking loads of drugs and I was working loads, coming up with all these ideas, but the ideas were just like piling on top of each other, and there's just more and more and more and more and more ideas coming, and it was just became so overwhelming, and I wasn't sleeping properly, or like wasn't sleeping for days sometimes, and then I was just reaching out to people and just being bizarre and odd and freaking people out, um, and it was I just had to step out of it. But then one thing you mentioned was about, I can't remember the words you used, but sorting yourself out basically, putting your own health first. And it was actually, I did this experiment before where I was writing letters to random people and people I used to know, and people in different countries, and just like old school letters. And one person wrote back to me, and he obviously, it was someone that I just knew from school. We were sort of friends, but not like, hadn't seen each other since we were like 15 or something. And he said, when you're in an airplane, they tell you if we go down, parents need to put their oxygen masks on before the children because otherwise they're going to be useless. And he said that to me. He's like, put your oxygen mask on before you put other people's oxygen mask on. And that stuck in my head. And I was like, that is so right. Because if you're not in a fit place, if you're not pretty comfortable with yourself and pretty just calm overall, it's going to be very difficult for you to be giving anybody any sort of comfort or help. And so I took a step back from that. Um, but